You can think of it in a similar way for algos. You need to update them because then if not, they will be out of sync with the current market. Just like if your device, you're running a 20-year-old phone, it's not going to feel the same. It may still work perfectly fine how it was designed and how it was there, but for today, the modern day, it may not be enough. It won't be working that well.
For a lot of traders, manual trading can be a bit inconsistent. You go and you have good runs and bad runs. And today we're sitting down with a guy who's doing the opposite, having consistent trading pretty much all year round because he's not involved in the chart too much. I want to talk today about how he's been able to build consistent income trading without staring at a chart, without placing trades manually. So, sitting down with Alejandro in Macau. Look forward to talk about this. Let's start with why traders fail when they trade manually. And I want to have your thoughts on this because you've been doing both trading manually and with automated strategies or algos. Let's kind of focus on why people don't make money with that manual trading.
Yeah, so first, thank you for coming to Macau, the place where I now live for several years. And what I have seen for many traders and for myself was also the case is that when I was trading manually, there was always, even after having good results in terms of consistent execution and maybe some profits for a couple of months, there was always that hesitancy in the back, like in the back of your mind when you're placing the trades or whenever you get your first few 3 losing trades in a row after having a good streak. And that part of not getting the confidence of like, am I really making it? Am I really not making it? And then that goes and translates into you start messing up with the trades, maybe affecting how cutting the take profits short. Maybe it's like, oh, it's about to get there, but I don't want it to revert. And instead of getting 80% of my take profit, and I will take it off. Things like that. And for me, that happened a lot. And I have seen that also being a very common thing for many traders that they start, since they haven't experienced the whole reality of trading, that even when you are trading manually, consistent results doesn't mean that you have to make big profits every single month. They feel like a small loss in a week or something like that can be already sign of inconsistency in some cases. And that translates to becoming inconsistent through the actions that derive from there. So that's a big reason that why traders tend to be, when trading manually, tend to become inconsistent in the results because they have some of those human elements, to say it in a way, that we all have thoughts, we all have feelings, and those end up affecting how we act, how we execute our trades in our trading plans.
It's very hard to not be affected by like a few bad trades or a few losing trades when you trade manually. Like you always will act differently or maybe take profits faster because you've had a few losses and you want to lose a profit in this one, or you will start to maybe take a bigger position because you lost in the past trades. So it's very easy to change that without really noticing it sometimes. You don't notice how you change, but things change anyway because you trade manually.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes you may be feeling that you are doing your stuff according to your trading plan. By the time this video goes out, you probably already have another video we recorded earlier about your checklist. So the traders may be doing their checklist stuff, but they may be unconsciously missing some things or things like that. So we talk about that in that video. You can watch it in, which corner is it?
That corner.
We talk about that in that video. So if it's already out, we're going to have it linked in this corner. If it's not, then stay tuned for next week or next couple of weeks to have that video in there.
Walk me back to that time where you realized that manual trading was not for you or was not the right path for you and you had to go with a different path.
It was a bit strange for me because I felt at the beginning that manual trading was the path for me. Price action trading was the path for me because it clicked, it made sense, the nuances, the market, all of these things, this big like amalgamation of market context, these different things. But then I was always curious about, like computer stuff and tech stuff. And I started to, lurk in those type of communities in which it's like, automated strategies or, like those systematic strategies. And then I was like, okay, let's try this. And I started to program some stuff. And I got dragged into that by that. We started doing a bit and it's like, okay, so this can make it so that I don't have to be there all day looking at the charts. I don't have to be that much time looking at the charts. And I started going more and more, even though I felt that, at the core, at the heart, I was a price action trader. the more I tried automation in my trading, the more I started to fall in love with it and to fall in love with what it can do for me. At the beginning, it was not necessarily successful with automation because I didn't fully understand the strategies that I was trying to automate. It was just getting literally random strategies from the internet, from forums, and trying to automate either parts of the strategies or just essentially playing around in a more like a playful exploration of this new thing that I found. And eventually, once I started to do more things, once I started to structure it and take it more seriously, I started to notice many of the things I was doing wrong with my price action trading, with my manual trading, and how that human element was affecting. So that's when I knew it's very hard for me to stop this human element from affecting my execution, impacting my trading. So I'm already into this automated trading, algorithmic trading. Let's go all into it and develop more into that because this is solving this issue. And at that time, I didn't know it, but it opened a lot of doors for me. And it also enabled me to do stuff such as being able to, going to trips and that, not having to think about trading because I already did the work, making my portfolio, evaluating it, doing my testing. And I was just letting it run. And those type of things that at the moment, I didn't even think of that. I was just thinking of, I want to be profitable. I want to become more consistent with my trading. And algorithmic trading was allowing me to do that. But it opened many other possibilities that I didn't even consider in that time.
When's the last time you took a manual trade?
That's a good question. It is not that long ago. But I say that thinking not that long ago. But I think it was like 6 months ago. I say that's not long ago, but it's a long time in the context of I still have it relatively fresh in my mind, but it was. So it was around 6 months ago. I say it's not that long ago, but now that I say it out loud, it actually feels longer than that. And that was, I have been playing with your home moving average for some time now, but not applying it in your higher time frames as you teach it in the free videos that you have we have linked.
Link in the corner here. Yeah.
So the home moving average that you have, I have been using it on the lower time frame. So actually, I started trading it last year sporadically on the Hong Kong futures market, so on the Hong Kong index in the futures market, and it was using 5 minutes and 50-minute charts. So my last trade was around 6 months ago because I was still playing around with it, and I just kept doing it. It was successful, but then I keep going back to my algo stuff, and then in that time I was looking at my statistics and my algo, and it was like, yeah, okay, I need to focus back again on the algo, and started to work on our algo stuff, and I kind of leave it in there. So it's more of like it's nice to do, it's nice to explore things, but I mostly use it to see what other things I may explore to apply them to the algo side.
So it's like a research or like a way to search for ideas, basically.
Yeah, it is going back to what I said about my story of how I started to algo trade. It is part of that playful exploration that I think is very healthy for traders. You don't take it too seriously and you're not putting all your resources into it, but you are learning from it and trying to find nuggets that you can apply to your core business, which in my case, my core business for trading, it's algo trading.
For a lot of people, the routine is going to be, okay, you wake up in the morning, you look at the chart, you place a few trades, you come back a few hours later to check your trades, or you might be staring at the chart like the whole day to place trades. What's your daily routine like, and kind of how do you manage these algos now?
In the day-to-day, there is very little to do in terms of algo trading. Once you have done your work of analyzing, getting your strategy coded, maybe that will be the first part, but you already have the strategy. Once you have done the work of making your optimization, validations, and getting your portfolio up and running, on the day-to-day, it's really almost nothing. There are weeks in which I don't look at my algos at all until the end of the week. And then mostly my weekly routine, it's around 5 to 15 minutes of making sure that the things are running, making sure that everything is working properly in my DPS, so that I know the algos are working there 24/7 for the next week. And if there is anything wrong, then it goes from 5 minutes to 10 minutes to maybe half an hour checking what's up. But on a daily basis, it's very, very simple. I just mostly check having all the algos I have notifications set up via Telegram alerts. Yeah. So I just check the alerts and I just do a quick scroll of, is there any errors? Is there any trade couldn't be open because of this thing, or there was an error with this thing? So I really just look for, if anything goes wrong, then I do something. If nothing goes wrong, then that's all. That's my day as an algo trader. That's it in the execution part of the algo, because the algo is doing that work for me. Now, on the other part of exploring and seeing what other things I can apply to my algo, that's where sometimes at some periods in time, I will be exploring or analyzing, either watching some videos, or currently I am building a new small mini app that can help me to make the portfolio analysis better for next year.
It shows how consistent you are too with your routine. Like, you don't just let the algos run and kind of go away for 3 months at a time. You're still checking it all the time, make sure things run smooth, because you can have issues. But at the same time, people might think, okay, you just plug the algo and you'll make money forever. That's not exactly how it works, right? Walk me through some of the common myths or issues you see people have with algos.
Yeah, well, from my daily routine, you can see that during normal times, there is not much to do. And it feels like that part of you just plug them, you let them be there, and you don't have anything to do. Part of why I try to do my weekly check is because when nothing bad is happening, when everything is running as expected and everything is nice and calm, it's very easy to get complacent and then to forget to do the things. And then those type of complacent parts, or those you are not actually doing anything, lead to later when something happens and when the market conditions change, you react slower, and that's when you get in trouble. So I try to do that routine to prevent it from happening, because with algo trading, since they are not present, you are not all day long looking at charts, you are not looking at the things, you can get easily out of sync with what's happening in the markets or what's happening in your portfolio. So that's one of the misconceptions, is that algo trading is just a set it and then you never look it back. It's more of set it and then you monitor it, and then occasionally you start planning of, okay, what's going to be the next upgrade. It's very much like when you have software, you have your operative systems from your tablets, from your PCs. The companies could potentially sell you a tablet or a PC and never update it, and it will be fine, right? It will keep running, it will work. But even if it's running well, they are trying to see what other features to add, what other things to change. The same in the software, the same, you can think of it in a similar way for algos. You need to update them, because then if not, they will be out of sync with the current market. Just like if your device, you're running a 20-year-old phone, it's not going to feel the same. It may still work perfectly fine how it was designed and how it was there, but for today, the modern day, it may not be enough. It won't be working that well. And you can think of it similarly in algos. Maybe the core strategy, the base things that you built or that you have for your portfolio may be working, but the conditions in the market and have changed enough that now you don't get the profitability from that. So the strategy itself, the core, may work, but the whole package now, it doesn't work that well for the market. So you need to either just update the algo, or what is part of what I do with exploration, it's trying to see what other new things we can attach or we can improve in the core of it.
That's a good analogy, by the way. And we both know this. So algos are easier mentally, but they don't completely take off the human aspect of trading. Like, you just have to still have discipline. You cannot just kind of run off like no discipline, no emotions at all with algos.
Yeah, that's true. And personally, that happened to me at the beginning when I was starting to do the algos, and when I went a bit more into them, that was part of the thing. Since I still had that core or that heart of a price action trader, price action trading, depending on how it is taught to you, it can be very discretionary. Everything depends. The answer to every question you give to anyone about price action trading can be, it depends on market context, and then if there's this, there are many depends on things, so it becomes very discretionary. And I brought some of those type of thinking sometimes to the algo, and at the beginning of my algo journey, when I started to go more serious, I ended up being like, I don't like how this algo is taking the trade, because I haven't implemented a market context filter to the algo yet. And according to my analysis, the market context right now, it's too volatile, it's not conducive for this strategy. So I will just close this trade early, or eliminate this trade from the chart and things like that. But that ended up hurting my results with the algo and affecting that consistency with the algo, because I was affecting the statistics of the algo, and I was affecting that, not letting the algo get and execute those results as I tested it. I was essentially invalidating the work I did of testing and letting the algo execute by me applying those things. So it's definitely something that it helps because the longer you go with it, the more you get detached from the day-to-day, the trade-by-trade part of trading, which is something that is very hard for especially scalpers and day traders, since they are in there directly seeing the P&L move all the time. It's harder for them to detach. But as an algo trader, that doesn't go away immediately. But the longer you do it, the more it helps because you start seeing the results. You start seeing the slow equity curve progressing up, and you start seeing that, like 1 day, 1 week, 1 month of losses, streaks, they are normal sometimes. And you start seeing them a lot more on the big picture. You start zooming out, not just, like saying going from the 1 hour time, so from the 15-minute time frame to the 1 hour time frame, you start going higher in your equity curve and P&L analysis, and you start becoming more of a fund manager analyzing the strategy instead of going into the micromanagement of trade by trade basis that is pretty common with discretionary traders.
Back in the day, I'm sure you believe a lot in price action. Like price action is it's everything. Like it works, like these patterns and stuff. Same way like me for a long time, I believe in support resistance areas. That was the thing for me. I was looking at every chart. I was looking at zones to trade and stuff all the time. These days, not so much. What's your belief or what's your view now on price action as you've been not doing it for multiple years in the way that's taught online?
I think that many of the concepts that you see online, they are valid, but they depend on how you apply it and who is applying it. Many times, strategies that you see online from people, for example, we have multiple strategies which are in the way from scalping with John Francois, and all the way to manual trading, and we have swing trading. We have different programs focused on that. And most of those things work. We have members that have work, but you can also see that we have some members that are unable to make some of those strategies work because they do not fit how they see the market or how they apply the things. So for me personally, price action, it's valid in the markets, but it's very hard to get proficient enough to get past that hurdle of proficiency where you can execute with steadily without having that much of those discipline and mindset issues for traders. So if a trader is trying to learn, it's a very big hurdle to pass sometimes for price action trading. And indicator trading and other more parameterized methods in which you have more rules and you have different ways of seeing the market, which are a bit more objective. You still have some subjectivity, but there's a bit more objectivity in analysis. I think those ones tend to be easier because it's a lot easier to look at an indicator, to look at something. Now, when I apply those things to algo trading, part of the core of my algo trading career has been trying to implement some of those price action based or discretionary aspects that a trader may do in their manual trading and trying to apply them into algos. So that's part of some of the advanced filters that I have developed. And those type of concepts are some of the things that have helped my algo trading to improve, which is taking concepts from price action trading and from manual trading into the algo world. And if you are interested in that, I will be having a video about how I applied those and how maybe you can also apply those into your own trading.
Comment below if you want to see the video, and we'll make sure to post it as well. I mean, it's a good reminder that sometimes the things you think you need, you don't actually need them in trading. Like for me, I believe for years I would need to have zones on my chart to trade well, but now I don't trade with them anymore. In some ways, we still use tools that are related to it, but we don't really need all the things that we think we need in the market. Like we could just drop it, test it out, see if it still works, and in many cases, it will still work really well.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common. Many times when we see new members that are just starting, they get one system and then put all the indicators of that system in that place. Then they learn another system and then they put all of the indicators.
Yeah.
And then they try to mix both of them together. And then you start seeing a cacophony of indicators and lines in the chart and things like that. And personally, something like that happened to me. I think it's a very natural part of a trader. It's part of that discovering of what actually works for you, in which you start putting things from different things that may work for someone else, and then you try to get your own stuff. And for me personally, that's part of my process for improving the algos. I add more things and then see what works, see what doesn't work, remove the things and try to simplify it. And then you end up complicating it so that then you can simplify it again. But in the end, what works more sustainably long-term, it's that simplified version. That's usually what works better. But in order to get that, if you show it to someone else, it may look very simple sometimes. Sometimes the core, it's very simple feeling, but to get that, you had to pass through all of those additional steps, the knowledge, the testing, and then you distill that knowledge into that simplified methodology, which is easier to execute, better to execute, and gets you better results. Yeah, so definitely something that I have seen too in the markets.
Do you now miss manual trading? Not that you've been trading in that with algos for so many years.
I would say that I don't necessarily miss manual trading in the sense of I miss having to be in the chart specific times of the day to trade sometimes, or even with manual trading and you are implementing a bit of automation. The simple automation for manual trading is notifications. But sometimes nowadays that I have got settled into this lifestyle, it's a bit annoying that you get a notification, you are out walking in the mountains, like we have, maybe you cannot see them behind, but maybe you can see them behind, or you're just going to the casino or to the mall, and then you get a notification, and then you're like, okay, I need to either take out my tablet or take out my phone and start analyzing the charts. And like, you need to get in the mood to apply your strategy properly. I don't miss that part. But sometimes I miss that part of being a bit more in tune with the market, having a bit more of that pulse for the market. So that's the part that I would say I miss from manual trading, but I definitely don't miss the part of having to sit at a desk at a specific time of the day or being out and about and then suddenly having to I need to act quick now because I may need to enter a trade now or I need to reject the trade opportunity and filter it now.
That's why I love daily charts, but you're right. It's like when you love trading, you miss, you don't want to be away from the charts for too long. You still want to be looking at the charts, or you want that feeling of being in tune with the market, which is totally correct. So yeah, definitely. So I think you can see from this video that there's many styles of trading that work. There's many ways to do things. You can go with the manual path. You can go with the algo and more automated path. Both ways definitely work well if you do it properly. If you want to see more about Alejandro, we have other videos that we've did together before that are a bit more technical or in depth. We'll leave a link here to play it. You can watch it. Thanks. A couple of videos where you kind of go more in depth into how algos work, how you can make it work for yourself, the kind of stats we've been having with them so far. So check out this video here on the screen, and we will catch you back here in the next video pretty soon. Ciao.